This clever little device is called a ClampTite. I read about it in a magazine. It's actually intended for aircraft mechanics, but it works really well for hoses on motorcycles as well. It's a stainless steel device with a brass handle, a thread, and 2 rods. And it's used to put hose clamps or create hose clamps that you can use for your radiator hoses or any hose that you want to clamp something on. Now it works a lot better than you would expect, and it's easy. Now normally you would use this type of band clamp here. The disadvantage here is when you actually start cranking this thing up, you realize that only part of the band clamp is actually moving. As I tighten it, you'll notice this moves inside here and the end comes out. So that's great. That means it's tightening here, but this isn't moving. So if I have my finger in it, for instance, and I start tightening it up, that means it's grabbing along here and tightening all up here, but along here, and especially where the mechanism here, there's no tightening effect at all. So you end up with a clamp around a hose with a whole bunch of pressure on one side and not much pressure on the other side, and that leads to leaky hoses. So this device, this ClampTite, aims to solve that problem. So I bought this ClampTite online. I'll show you the link, and I also have the link on my website, GoldwingDocs. And it comes with a nice 1-pound coil of some pretty decent quality aircraft stainless steel lock wire. Now I'm not going to use that lock wire in this demonstration because it's really good lock wire. I don't want to waste it just demoing on a piece of hose here, so instead I'm going to use my Harbor Freight cheapy 1-pound stainless lock wire. So I've got here, this is a rubber hose. It's got some stainless braid on it, but it is just a rubber hose, you can see. And I am going to clamp it around this screwdriver. So I'm going to ram the screwdriver in there. You can see the screwdriver moves in and out fairly easily. So what we're going to do is create a clamp around that hose and the screwdriver. What we're going to start with is you want to measure your wire, and they say you want a length of wire that will go around the hose 4 times and then 10 inches. So I can pretty much guesstimate that. So there's, and it's a guess, like I said. So there's my 4 times around and another 12 inches. So we'll call that good right there. Okay, the next step is you want to fold the wire in half. So fold it in half and bring the ends together. Just like that. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I mean, it doesn't have to be straight, and it does come with this wire nut here, which you can use to stick on the end if you care about that much. It works just as well without it, but they included it, so I'll use it. Alright, so the next step is you want to put the wire around the hose clamp that the hose that you're going to clamp, and you want to bend the loop up around like this, and then keeping the wire straight, we're going to take the end of it and push it through the loop, just like that. And just pull it. So it doesn't have to be really tight, just so it's through and it's reasonably neat. And then do it again, through the loop again. And the second time through, you want the wires, the second set of wires, to go on the insides of the first set. So you want it to go around the outside, and then around the second time through, you want through the in between the first set of wires. I don't know if you can really see that or not. You don't want to cross them over because that will create too much pressure, and you can neaten this up later on as we start tightening it up. Okay, so there we are. We're about ready to start creating this clamp. So now we take, if you notice, the end of it has a little notch. So I'm going to take that notch and I'm going to push it up through between the wires, up into that loop. And then these wires I'm then going to take, and I'll take this wire nut off, and I will wrap around the second post, just like that. And then lastly, the most important part is you want to twist these wires together, because this is where all the force is going to go. So you want to twist those really well so they aren't going to come apart. Okay, so we have the nose of it, like I said, up against that original loop that we made. Then the wires come up and over top, around the second clamps, twist them together. Now we're ready to start. So I start twisting this, and as I twist it, the two sets of posts start moving apart. And you notice I'm not quite on that loop yet, but I will be shortly as I start twisting this. I can push that in with my thumb and hold it there. And twist, twist, twist. And as I do, you'll start noticing that things are getting tighter. And it doesn't take much. And as I'm doing this, I can then start looking at these wires and say, oh, say I want to neaten things up, I can slide them around and make sure the pressure is being distributed evenly. Keep tightening. As you can see, it's getting fairly tight now. And if I try to move that screwdriver, it's not moving. It's being held in there very, very tightly now. And if I look at the back side, you can see that it's actually compressed the hose in a bit. So it's definitely put quite a bit of pressure on there. So you can see as I tighten it, it's squeezing that together. Okay, last step. Now it's good and tight. We want to secure it, so we flip it. Now we're going to take the clamp and we're going to flip it up this way over top of the hose, just like this. So I'm going to do this on camera here. And that's what creates the lock. Okay, so now I've flipped it over. All I have to do is release, so I'll loosen this off a bit and cut these wires. So now the hose clamp is done. I've got these wires left over. I'll just trim them to size. Trim maybe a quarter, leave a quarter of an inch or so behind. And I don't have a set of needle nose here, so I'll use my diagonal cutters. I'll just bend these in a bit here, just so they don't catch on anything. So now I have a completely custom hose clamp. It's extremely tight. It's extremely strong. There's no way I can pull that out of that hose. It's on there so tight, and the pressure is distributed all the way around the outside of the hose. There's no loose spots, there's no over tight spots. This will never leak as a hose. And the best thing is, if you ever want to take it off to replace it, all you got to do is just give it a little cut. Cut here, untwist these wires. Same thing on the other side. And the whole thing just pulls right off. There's one wire. I should have had my needle nose here to do this, but... And there's the other wire. Now that I've taken those wires off, my clamp is gone. The screwdriver comes out nice and easy. And then once I've removed this and done the work I need to do, I can put it back on and just create a new clamp again. Now, I have to say, this is only the second time I've actually tried to make one of these clamps. It doesn't take a lot of practice. I tried this once off camera just to make sure that I could do it and wasn't going to make a fool of myself, and you just saw me do it for the very second time ever. The instructions are not wonderful, but as long as you can watch someone on a video just like I did here, it's not that hard. And once you've done it once, it's easy. There is a way you can actually do it with a single wraparound. I've tried that way as well. It works, but it doesn't seem to be as secure as using the double. As well, it puts a lot more pressure on the hose. I can show you how that actually works. I'll just pull out some wire here. Now I have done this once as well. So what you do is you wrap the wire around, it says between 2 and 5 times. So that'll do there. And so you can either wrap this wire around the end in like a figure 8. Actually, before we get this ready. So you can wrap it around as a figure 8 in the end there, or you could just stick it in the end just like that and bend it up, and that'll make that nice and secure. And then this end here, we're just gonna wrap around, you know, just make sure that it's going to be solid and not going to go anywhere. And then all we have to do is tighten that up. I'll just put my screwdriver in there so I don't collapse the hose. Now that said, this would be a good way to actually put bands on, or I mean, it's not just for hose clamps, it's basically anything you want to put any kind of tight fastener around. Because it will, anything you can get a piece of wire around, this thing will go on and make a very nice tight fastener. So as I'm winding this up, it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And once I've got to the point where I say, okay, that's good, that's where I want it to be, you then just rotate it 180 degrees, just like that. One cut, one cut. I'll just trim this one up a little bit. Just push those ends down. And there we go. Very quick and easy one wire clamp. Now, the other one, you notice it had 2 wires that were clamped around. This one just has each wire bent to itself. So it's not quite as secure. It's definitely not going to go anywhere. It's faster, but I prefer the first one I showed you where you actually had the loop. And it doesn't have to be this wire or this size of wire. You can use any kind of wire, really. It says you can even use a coat hanger in a pinch if you want, which would be great. You could fix a broken hose with a coat hanger. So this is a kind of device you could just carry around with you. It's fairly simple, it's quick and easy. You don't have to always have exactly the right size hose clamp with you. And it's great for quick repairs, or it's great for permanent repairs. It's stainless steel, it's strong, it's made in the USA, it's got a lifetime guarantee. If it ever breaks, they'll just give you another one. It's a great little device. I'm quite pleased with it, and I expect I'll be using this extensively in the future to fasten pretty much anything you want. So there you go. There's the ClampTite. Highly recommended. I really like this little thing.